Today, we're going to cover everything that you need to know to better optimize and scale your account, dramatically improve your creative testing, and ultimately grow your business with confidence so that you can see the success that you deserve. I'm going to share every screen and every button and give you best practices for every option. And this is going to end with me literally building a custom dashboard with every custom metric, every column, every single thing from scratch, live on the screen. And then you're gonna watch me do live analysis to see how you can copy and paste your way to success with all of the information that you need to know. You are truly in for a treat today. And some of you might be brand new and others might be more intermediate with a moderate level of skill and experience and comfortability setting up Facebook ads. Whoever you are, wherever you're at, I'm going to take you from there to full-blown expert by the end of this video. I've gone ahead and broken this video down into chapters and timestamps down below so that you can skip forward to the information that you're looking for or come back and look again at the information that you need. Just make sure to stick around to the end because I'm doing a massive giveaway that you don't want to miss. So let's dive into exactly everything we're going to cover here point to point and then get started. We're going to cover the Ads Manager dashboard so that you can understand the geography and know what information you can expect to see. We're also going to cover the analysis and visualization tools, as well as key information across each campaign layer, from performance metrics and optimization to audience, budget, and placement controls, as well as creative management. From there, we're going to dive into campaign navigation and the metric guide. We're going to cover both the ad management and optimization menus, as well as dive into the definition of each metric that you need to know and the definition and use case of each column preset. Then we're going to get into how to organize your data for best success, and I'm going to show you step by step how to create your own custom metrics and set your own custom presets, how to break down the data for most valuable insight, how to create reports, and how to analyze dynamic ads. And at the end of this, we're going to create live your ideal reporting dashboard. We're going to review the 4PI analysis so that you can have the most actionable view into the data possible. We're going to cover what each one of those metrics tells us, how to read the report, and end with a real-world 4PI case study so that you can copy and paste your way to success by seeing how I look at data. So let's start at the very beginning with the Ads Manager dashboard. If we don't know our geography, navigation and application is all but impossible. So this is how the Meta Ads Manager dashboard is laid out. In the upper center, we have the three layers of our meta ad campaign with the campaigns, ad set, and ad tabs. In the center of the screen, we have our metrics table. In the upper row is our toolbars and filters section. And over on the right, below the metrics table, is our charts panel. So let's start with a quick guide of what you can expect and the value of each one of these sections. Starting with the navigation panel. This is on the left sidebar. This panel is where you can navigate between different parts of Meta's business tools, like the Ads Manager, the audiences, the insights, and the billing. You'll also see your ad account details here, including your business name, account ID, and campaign management tools. This is ultimately how you can access the Meta Business Suite from within the ads dashboard. Moving on to the campaigns, ad sets, and ad tabs, which is in the upper center. These three tabs allow you to switch views between the three levels of the Meta Ads campaign. This is the campaigns level, the ad sets level, and the ads level. Each tab shows you performance data specific to that selected level, making it easy to track metrics based on campaign objectives, audience targeting, budget settings, and individual ad creative performance. Inside of your Meta Ads dashboard, you're basically choosing which layer am I going to look at. I can look at all campaigns, I can look at all my ad sets, and I can look at all of my ads. We can also select specific campaigns or ad sets. And then at the next level, we only see the information within that campaign or ad set. Next, we have the metrics table. This can be found in the center of the screen. The main area shows a table with performance metrics for each campaign, ad set, or ad. This table can be customized to show specific columns like results, reach, impressions, cost per result, and more, including custom metrics, which we're going to get to in a little bit. And I'm going to show you all the custom metrics that I use in every ad account. There's a filter at the top to view data for specific date ranges or performance windows. And what's important here is that we gotta understand when looking at our data, is it from yesterday, from today, from last week, maybe the last month, maybe year to date, or for the maximum time range available for that ad set, or campaign. This is really gonna help us put the data into context. At the campaign level, you'll see high-level performance summaries. And a best practice here is to remember that the campaign level summarizes all of the information from the ad set levels within that campaign. And the ad set summarizes all of the information from the ads within that campaign. And why this is important is especially when we get into things like reach and frequency, sometimes the reach or frequency of all of the ads combined is less than the ad sets, because some of those ads reach the same person. At the campaign level, you'll see high-level performance summaries, while the ad level provides detailed insights into creative elements like image, videos, and copy. The best practice to remember here is that the campaign level summarizes all of the information from all of the ad sets within it, and the ad set summarizes all of the information from the ads within it. Now, why this is really important is because if you decided to say delete an ad, the ad set will still show that information. If you decide to delete an ad set, the campaign level will still show that information. And when you begin to look at things like reach and frequency, we can understand that sometimes multiple ads reach the same person, or multiple ad sets showed ads to the same person. So when you sum up all of the ad level data or all of the ad set level data, it might not directly match the campaign level data. And this is an important nuance that I see a lot of people get tripped up on. So I wanted to take a moment to just explain it here real quick. So next, let's cover the analysis and visualization tool. For analysis, we see the toolbar and filters section in the upper row. This area includes filters, sorting options, and a search bar. You can filter by ad objectives, delivery status, and placement. You can customize the columns, set date ranges, or apply breakdowns by demographics, device, day, and more. You can also customize the columns, set date ranges, and apply breakdowns by demographics, device, time, and more. The toolbar here also includes export, reports, and save view options, allowing you to save custom report setups for easy future access. And yes, later on, we're going to cover all of that in greater detail. I just want to let you know where you can find all of these things. Okay, now, visualization. When you select a specific campaign, ad set, or ad, a detailed charts panel will appear below the metric table. This panel shows graphical insights, including performance, which is key stats over time like spend, results, cost per results, and reach, as well as demographics, breaking down by age, gender, and location. Placement, which is data on where your ads are shown, like Facebook, Instagram, etc. And delivery, which is information on frequency and impressions over time. Now, I know there's some buzzwords in here, and there are some vernacular things that we're going to need to cover, and that's coming next. So don't get too tripped up on it. I promise. I'm going to hold your hand through everything that you need to know. Now, before we get any further, I want to take a quick moment to break down the 3 layers of a meta ad campaign. At the campaign layer, we can see the primary advertising objective and the type of campaign and budget. At the ad set layer, we can see the goal and the bid type and the targeting. And at the ad layer, we see the creative, the copy, the calls to action, the links, and tracking UTMs. So now let's take a moment to dive deeper into each one of these layers so you can truly understand what information you're actually looking at, starting with the campaign level. When you're looking at the campaign level of a meta ads campaign, you're seeing the highest level view of your ad structure. This level is where you set the overall objective for your ads and get a snapshot of key metrics related to your campaign's performance. This campaign level view is a high-level overview intended to show you how your campaign is performing towards achieving its overall objective. From here, you can drill down into ad set and ad levels to refine audience targeting, budget allocation, and add creative details to improve results. When viewing the ad set level in a meta ads campaign, you're one level deeper than the campaign level. The ad set level allows you to control targeting, budget allocation, placement, and scheduling for your ads. The ad set level is crucial for tailoring the specifics of your campaign targeting, budget, and optimization. It allows for more precise control over who sees your ads, where they appear, and how the budget is spent, ensuring that your ads align with your audience and campaign objective. A quick best practice to understand here. When we set our budget at the campaign level, the campaign chooses which ad set to spend money on. And lastly, we have the ad level. At the ad level of a meta ads campaign, you're viewing the most granular layer of your ad setup, where you control and analyze the specific creative assets and messages shown to users. It provides a detailed view on how well each ad is resonating with your audience and helps you make adjustments based on data to achieve better results. So when we're looking at the ad level, we're ultimately seeing the performance itemized by which ad earned spend within that ad set and campaign. So now let's dive into the ad management and optimization menu. There's a few buttons and menu options here, and I wanted to break them all down so that you can understand what they mean and so that you can be the most effective campaign manager possible. Okay, let's get into it. Duplicate. This feature helps streamline management and makes it easier to run experiments. You're going to see a duplicate option, which will ask you to confirm every level that your duplicate should be applied to. And you're going to see a quick duplicate option, which assumes that whatever you're duplicating goes right next to exactly what you're starting with. So think of this as I have an ad and an ad set, and I want that ad in a different campaign. I'll hit the duplicate button and then say, oh, instead of this campaign, I want it to go someplace else. And then in that campaign, which ad set? And then I can name that ad appropriately. The best practice guide here is a bit of an example of a real-world application. If we wanted to duplicate an ad from one campaign to another, we would select it and hit the duplicate button. When the menu comes up, we will say which campaign we want that applied to, and then in that campaign at the ad set level, which ad set do we want that ad applied to? And then we can also change the name of the ad if we want to. However, if we wanted to basically make an exact replica of that ad within the same ad set, we could hit the quick duplicate button and then just change whatever parameters we wanted to. This is incredibly useful when trying to move ads from one campaign to another, or when just trying to build out a lot of ads within a single ad set. Instead of having to push the create ad button and build everything from scratch, we can just take an ad that we like, hit the quick duplicate, and then just change whatever parameters are important to us in the moment. Next to that, we have the edit menu, which is a fast and easy way to fine-tune and optimize your ad strategy in real time. Now, a quick best practice guide for this is while you have the edit menu available here, you also at each line item within whatever level you're looking at have an edit menu available there as well, which is hidden unless you put your mouse over the title of whatever line item you're looking at, and you'll see a little pencil button. Now, the reason for the edit menu next to the duplicate button is that we often want to make mass changes or bulk edits to multiple things. And if that's your goal, this is the best and fastest way of doing it with the least opportunity for human error. All right, let's keep going. Next to that, you'll have the A/B test button, which I think is adorable because it looks like a little beaker from science class. And this allows you to get easy access to the experiment section of the Meta Business Manager. Next to that, you have our action shortcuts section, which allows you to manage configurations and control drafts. And next to that, we have automated rules, which will open up a menu that allows you to set automation to automatically manage your performance. So now let's get into the definition of every performance and optimization metric you need to know. The first being cost per result. This is how much are conversions costing you. Cost per result tells you how much money was spent today on that campaign or ad set or ad, and from that spend, how many conversions have been attributed. Now, the best practice here is to remember that attribution is never perfect. However, the inaccuracies are consistent, so while these aren't the real numbers, they can be compared against each other. Remember, CPR isn't accurate, but it is actionable. Next is return on ad spend, or ROAS. This is how much revenue does each dollar spent earn. This number is total revenue divided by total ad spend. Because attribution isn't perfect, we know this revenue number isn't completely accurate. This number is total revenue divided by total ad spend. Now, the best practice for you to remember here is that because attribution isn't perfect, this revenue number is never completely accurate. While performance cannot be trusted on any one conversion, more conversions equates to more trust in the data when comparing one campaign or ad set or ad against another. So now let's get into some metrics that we've talked about before, but we need to clearly define, starting with impressions. Impressions is how many times was your ad displayed. This number is how many times your ad has been shown in that ad set or in that campaign. Best practice here is to remember that your ad might be in more than one ad set or more than one campaign. So the impressions for that ad are only that ad in that ad set or in that campaign. But if that same post ID exists in more than one place, then the total number of impressions for that ad itself doesn't necessarily reflect the total number of impressions for that post ID across your entire ecosystem. We also have to remember that impressions occur in multiple places, on multiple devices, on multiple platforms, and not every impression is created equal. Impressions does not equal the total number of people who see your ad, because our frequency might be greater than 1. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Now let's address reach. How many people see your ads? This number is how many people your ad has been shown to in that ad set or in that campaign. Best practice here is to remember that, like with impressions, your ad, or in this case more specifically, the post ID that you are promoting, might exist in multiple ad sets or in multiple campaigns. So that ad as a line item in your ad sets or campaigns level might not be completely inclusive of all of the people reached by that post ID if it occurs in more than one place. We can also look at unique reach, which tells us the total net of people who sees our ads. Reach does not equal the total number of times a single person sees your ad. A quick note here, remember that we said the performance at the ad set level is a summary of all of the performance of the ads, and the campaign level is a summary of all of the performance of each ad set. However, when it comes to things like reach, the total number of people reached within a campaign might not match the total reach of each ad set or of each ad, because sometimes one ad reaches the same person that another ad does. So while they both have reached one person, that doesn't actually mean that you've reached two people. So that's where unique reach comes into play. Now let's focus on frequency. I know sometimes impressions and reach can get a little confusing, and that's where frequency comes into play. Frequency is how often does a user see your ads. This number is an average, and we have to be aware that some people might see two different ads from either the same ad set or campaign. A quick best practice here is to remember that the frequency can change dramatically when going from the ad level to the ad set level to the campaign level, and when we look at different periods of time, like 1 day versus 1 week or 1 month. Also, this number is a 100% accurate average user experience. Each individual user is going to have a slightly different experience. So we've talked about delivery. Let's get into clicks. CPC is the total number of clicks divided by total spend. A best practice here is to remember that a good ad might be shown to more people because of the cost of attention, or CPMs, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But that means that an ad with a lower CTR, or click-through rate, which we'll also get to in just a sec, might also have a better CPC. Remember, you are not paying for clicks, you are buying attention. Cost per click is not directly related to the efficiency of sales, leads, or traffic, etc. So let's talk about click-through rate. CTR measures the percentage of people who clicked on an ad after seeing it. A best practice here, just like with CPC, is to understand that a good ad is often shown to more people because it has a lower CPM. And in CTR, when what we're looking at is total amount of clicks divided by total number of impressions, if the volume of impressions that each dollar gets us is greater, it is often common for a good ad to have a lower click-through rate, even if the CPC is also less. Remember that you are not paying for clicks, you are buying attention. And my personal belief is that CTR is not an actionable metric. You should not be making decisions based on the click-through rate of any ad in the Meta platform. An important thing to remember here is that ultimately Meta is an optimized CPM environment. It's not like email. It's not like search. It's not like display. You don't have a set inventory of people with an established level of intent. You are trying to create intent by buying attention. And ultimately, the quality of attention that you buy is far more important than the volume of it. If you reach 1 million people and every single one of them clicks, but nobody ever wants to buy, you make a lot less money than if you were to reach 10 people and 5 of them clicked, and of those 5, 2 were to buy. Meta, unlike CRM marketing like email and SMS, or PPC marketing, pay per click, like Amazon or Google, is completely based around the quality and volume of attention, not the volume of traffic that you buy, because the quality of attention is very dynamic. And that brings us to CPM. This is cost per 1,000 impressions. And I know that this can be a little confusing. Cost per M. M is milli, which is 1,000 in Latin. Somebody a long time ago decided that this was the best way of saying 1,000 impressions. We just all have to kind of live with it. This is thought of as what is the price of attention? This is spend divided by the output of total impressions divided by 1,000. The best practice here is to understand that CPM ultimately measures the cost efficiency of attention. This gives insight into the price of visibility on the platform. Premium inventory costs extra, and bad user experiences can also raise CPMs. So you can basically think of CPMs as a tax based on the quality of your ad and your audience. CPM is not directly tied to performance. So while we've covered some performance and optimization metrics, let's get into some additional metrics based more on engagement. Result rate tracks the percentage of users completing the desired action, whether that's a view or a click or a lead or a purchase, an app download, a subscription, whatever. Relevance score and quality ranking ranks the ad quality based on user responses. And while this is good for us to know, it's often not the thing that's truly going to move the needle. Full disclosure, I've seen some absolutely killer ads have really bad scores here. And I've seen ads with the best scores ever do terrible for business. So remember that this one goes a little bit of grain of salt. Engagement rate is the percentage of interactions such as likes, video views, and comments. Unique link clicks tracks the individual users who have clicked the link. Remember that somebody could click the link on your ad more than once, or one person might click on the link of multiple ads. Unique link clicks ultimately tells us the number of people that have clicked regardless of how many times. And that brings us ultimately to clicks. Clicks is all clicks on the ad, whether it's the link click, whether they click on the call to action, or maybe they click the see more option to see more text, whether they stop the video, or they click on the name of the page or the account where the ad is coming from to see more around the source of this ad. A click is any click on the ad. It's not necessarily somebody clicking that ad to go to your website. Now, the last metrics we're going to cover here are the ones built around the e-commerce funnel. And these are really important. So let's get into it. Landing page views counts the users who wait for the page to load. Remember, just because I click on your link doesn't mean I'm waiting for your website to load. Page load time means everything. And if I click on your link and don't wait for the page to load, that means that probably your page speed is too slow. Content views counts the times a page with attract offer loads. So I might go to your website and check out the product that you're promoting. But if I'm also doing more shopping around and checking out other products on your page, that content view number might go up. On the other side, I might click on your link and go to a page that's just a blog with no offer on it at all, in which case I will get a landing page view, but no content view. Now we're getting into actions. So an add to cart counts the times a user has added an item to their cart. And just like in content view, I might add multiple items to my cart. So this number isn't necessarily directly dependent on one per person. And below that is initiate checkout, which counts times that a user starts the checkout process. And lastly, we have purchase conversion value, which is the total attributed revenue. Now, the best practice here for us to understand about all of these things is that sometimes people have ad blocking on. Sometimes they're in incognito mode, or the browser loads inside of the Facebook app instead of on their phone with their default browser, be it Safari or Chrome, etc. So not all of these numbers are 100% accurate. What matters the most is that when we get a lot of these numbers, we can have an understanding of the average user experience. And we can also understand how effectively somebody gets from a landing page view to a content view to an add to cart to an initiate checkout and ultimately a purchase, and how much that purchase is worth. And remember, sometimes people purchase something different than the item they are promoting. So now let's get into your column presets. First preset is performance. This is ideal for quick health checks on your campaigns, or when you need a high-level overview without diving into specific engagement or conversion details. The performance preset focuses on essential metrics like reach, impressions, clicks, and cost per result, giving a quick snapshot of overall ad performance. The performance preset is best for an overall view of how ads are performing across basic metrics, such as reach, impressions, and cost per result. It's not very detailed, but it does give you a 50,000-foot view of everything that you need to see, so that you can begin to understand where you might need to dive deeper. Next, we have the performance and clicks preset. This is ideal for campaigns focused on driving traffic to your website, where understanding click behavior is key to evaluating ad effectiveness. The performance and clicks preset adds more detail to the performance preset by including click-based metrics such as CTR, click-through rate, link clicks, and CPC, or cost per click, to analyze engagement levels. It also includes things like CPM and breaks down the difference between link clicks and normal clicks, as well as some ranking metrics that can be helpful. This is ideal for when you want a deeper understanding of user engagement by focusing on clicks and cost per click metrics alongside general performance. Next on our valuable presets list is engagement. This is ideal for brand awareness and community engagement campaigns, especially when your goal is to build a connection with your audience rather than drive conversions. The engagement preset emphasizes user interactions, including metrics like post reactions, comments, shares, and saves. It's ideal for assessing how well your content resonates with audiences. The engagement preset is designed to assess how well your ad content is resonating and driving social interactions, like likes, comments, and shares. Generally speaking, the engagement preset is not one that is used when e-commerce or lead gen marketing efforts are the primary definition of success. However, when trying to build an audience and a community, this gives us a very high level of all of the metrics that we should be focusing in on. And other engagement presets can dive deeper into things like videos and apps and messaging and Facebook groups. But this preset, like the performance preset, can answer almost all of your questions at a 50,000 foot view and let you know where you should dive in deeper if you want to begin to problem solve, troubleshoot, or optimize. Next is the video engagement preset. This is ideal for video ads aimed at storytelling or brand awareness, where monitoring how much of your video is being viewed and engaged with is critical to refining content. Video engagement is essential for video campaigns. This preset allows you to track viewer retention, average watch time, and engagement metrics unique to video. A quick best practice when it comes to this pairing of presets. The engagement preset is agnostic to the content format and allows you to understand image ads and carousel posts and videos alongside of each other with all things being equal. However, if understanding the finer points of video is important, the video engagement preset is an essential, easy view into understanding everything that you might need to know. And the last preset we're going to cover here today is purchases. This is ideal for direct response or sales-driven campaigns, where measuring the return on ad spend and cost per conversion is essential to assess profitability and efficiency. The purchases preset focuses on conversion-based metrics like cost per conversion, conversion rate, and purchase value. And it's essential for measuring the effectiveness of ads aimed at driving actions or sales. This preset is best for tracking actions taken by users, such as purchases, signups, or other specific conversions, along with associated costs and return on ad spend. A quick best practice for the purchases preset is that unless you're going to make your own custom dashboard, which a little bit later in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step, this is the best view of looking at your performance when making money is the reason that you're spending money on ads, and is a very easy way out of the box to understand where profitability and scale come from. So now I'm going to show you how to build your own custom metrics, because the preset metrics are great, but sometimes you need a little bit more information. And the way that we do that is we can go over to the columns section, and at the very bottom we can customize our columns. And when this goes up, at the very top we can see the spot that says create custom metric. Now for this example, one we're going to make is called AOV, or average order value. Now, the way that we create this custom metric is we can go to this select metric dropdown and scroll all the way through it, or we can just begin typing into here, which is kind of my favorite. So if we want to create an average order value, that is purchase conversion value divided by number of purchases. So we can type it in, purchase, and there we go, metric purchase conversion value. And we can hit the divided by and then type in purchase. Awesome, purchases. Now we've named it AOV. This happens to be a currency, but we could also do a rate, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And let's make sure that this is accessible to everyone in the business. Awesome. So this is going to be average order value. Fantastic. So now we've also described this. And we can hit create metric, and it'll show up right here. Now I've already made one, so there's two here. Now let's create another custom metric that in their infinite wisdom Facebook doesn't have, and dive into profit. So let's go to create custom metric, and in this case we're going to do purchase conversion value, right? Minus spent, which is the amount that we spent. Great, so this is profit volume. Excellent. We'll make this a currency. And this is going to be total volume of profit. So now this will show us at the ad level, at the ad set level, or the campaign level, the total value of the conversions that we've got minus the amount that we spent to get them. So instead of looking at a number like ROAS, which is conversion value divided by amount spent, that tells us the margin or the ratio, instead we can have an absolute value. So one thing to remember here is that 100% profit margin on $100 is 1% of the value of a 1% profit margin on $1 million. So understanding this absolute value is really important. I want to show you how to make one more custom metric here. And this is for folks that are doing lead gen and also driving sales. Let's see what is the ratio of somebody who takes a lead that ultimately buys. What's the conversion rate of our lead? Well, that's actually really simple to do. We can go into our custom metric. We can do lead divided by purchases. Awesome. So this is lead conversion rate, ratio of purchases from leads. And now this, because it's not a number and it's not a currency, this is a percentage. And again, let's make this available to everyone with access to this business. And this is going to be great. Maybe you're doing email lead capture and you want to see how many of those people buy. Maybe you're doing high-end lead gen and you're uploading your purchases offline and you want to know which ads have a higher conversion rate. This is how we can know directly in the dashboard without any fancy software. So now let's talk about how to set up your own column presets inside of the dashboard. We can go to the column section, come on down, we can hit customize column. And in here, we can uncheck any of these things that we don't want, and we can scroll through here to find any of the things that we do. So let me give you a couple of examples, and we're gonna start by just cleaning the entire slate. Let's say we wanted to just look at those custom metrics that we looked at. We could put in perhaps amount spent, sure. And then we could say, well, we wanna know the AOV, okay. We wanna know the profit volume, okay. And we wanna know the lead conversion rate, great. Now that we have these columns, we also might want to take a look at the total number of purchases. So we can go here and you'll see that we have the option of total, value, and cost. For this, we just want to look at the total. And let's also get the leads. So let's get leads and we'll get total. Awesome. Now we can hit apply and we have a custom dashboard that'll tell us our campaign name, or at the ad set level, our ad set name, or at the ads level, the ad name. We'll let it know if it's on or off, amount spent, the average order value, the volume of profit that we're getting. We're going to see the conversion rate of our leads and our purchases. We're going to see how many purchases we got and how many leads we got. And you'll see here too, there's the meta purchases and there's the meta leads. These are basically things that happen inside of the meta environment. So the meta leads is forums, Messenger, and Instagram chats. And the purchases are things that happen at shops and pages and Messenger. Think of the difference between purchases and meta purchases, as purchases includes everything that happens in meta and on your website. And think of the difference between leads and meta leads, as leads includes every lead that you get, whereas meta leads only includes those that occur inside of the meta environment. But in this quick case, we're able to customize our own set of columns. And we can slide this over if we want so that we know that we've got everything laid out to our zoom menu. And we can slide these columns around if we want to adjust the width. And the last thing that we want to do here is we can go and hit save. And we can save this as our dashboard. Awesome. Hit OK. Now when you go into your dashboard settings, you'll see that it says that this is your custom and it's your default. You'll also be able to see down here in more column presets, all of the other ones that you're used to seeing, but you also now have this your custom presets option, and that's where you'll find it. It's just that easy. So now let's talk about how to adjust the breakdown of your data. And what's really important here is that when we get results in your dashboard, they're going to be shown as the net sum of whatever your timeline is. However, we can break this down in a lot of really interesting ways that's really impactful for insight. So let me walk you through a few of these. First, we're going to go here to this breakdown button. It's in between columns and reports. In the breakdown section, you're going to see recently used default options, but what's really popular is the breakdown by day, so you'll get to see all of your results broken down by the individual day and then summed up to whatever your timeline is. Next, you'll see it broken down into age groups, and this will break it down into groups of 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, 55 to 64, and 65 plus. You'll also see this placement option, which tells you where your ad was shown. Is it a stories placement? Is it on the news feed? Is it mobile versus desktop? Below that, another popular one is country, especially if you're targeting more than one country. This can be very helpful to understand. Perhaps you're targeting all of Europe, which country is getting all of the money, which country is bringing in all the results. That's really, really helpful. You can also see platform, which is sort of a version of the placement breakdown. But in the platform breakdown, it tells you your ad results by meta platform. So are you getting more sales from Instagram, or is more of your money going to Facebook? Stuff like that. Now below these defaults, we have a few different sections. First one being time. So before we saw that you could break it down by day, but you can also break it down by week, by 2 weeks, and by month. So one of the things that I like to do is go up to here and go last 7 days, and then go to my breakdown and go to by day. So I can basically see day over day for the last week. Another thing that I do all the time is I'll go to last 30 days, and then I'll go breakdown, and instead of by day, I'll go to week. This gives me a great view of a trend analysis over the last month, so that I can really see the larger picture, so that I'm not living and dying by each individual day, but rather I can see, am I moving in the right direction over the last month? And this is really helpful. A best practice here to remember is that when you go over the last 30 days and you break down by week, a week is 7 days. So you're going to have 4 full weeks and then one line item that is just 2 days. So if you see one that looks funky, that's because it's only 2 days long and it's the most recent 2 days. So it's not very indicative of what you could expect to see for the rest of this week. Just something to call out. So let's get to the next one, which is demographics. Here you can break down by age, those groups that we talked about before, but you can also break down by gender. You can also do age and gender, and there's audience segments. Now, best practice here is to remember that the machine is showing your ads to the people who want to see your content. If those people aren't your target customer, generally the fix is not to exclude that age or gender, but to improve the ad itself. Also, if you're looking at reports across age and gender or audience segments or across any of these types of breakdowns over very large amounts of ads, my best advice is to just export the data, upload it into ChatGPT, and ask it for whatever information you're trying to understand. For instance, you could say, has my average audience gotten older or younger over the last 30 days? Or you could say, what is my top performing age group? Or you might say, what age and gender bucket is wasting the most amount of money? That's really helpful information. Below that, we have geography, where we have country, and we have country and audience segments. There's also region, which in the United States breaks down often to state, but you can see that differently in different countries, like Canada might be a province. There's also business locations, so if you have put into the machine the actual address of where your operations are, that can be really helpful to understand. And there's also DMA, which is a designated marketing area. This is a holdover from television. So, for instance, the Los Angeles DMA is basically everything north of San Diego all the way out to more or less Las Vegas. So these are really helpful if you're trying to understand larger markets than maybe just one city based on the name of that city. But more importantly, where this is really informative is if you're trying to work out distribution issues or shipping times, or just understanding in general more than a city but less than a state. That's what this is really helpful for. After that, we have delivery. Now, delivery is really important because it'll show us the placement. Again, Facebook newsfeed or Instagram. We also have platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram in general. Next, we have time of day, which breaks down all of your results across 24 different hourly segments. And then it shows you the results based on what your time zone is. Below that is time of day for the viewer's time zone, basically saying instead of it all being based around where you're at, Let's look at the results based around where your audience is. So for instance, 3 o'clock in the afternoon for you, if you're in New York City, might only be noon for somebody else who's in Los Angeles. Below that, we have impression device. And this really helps us understand where somebody saw the ad. You can think of this as, were they on their phone? Were they on a laptop? Stuff like that. Now below that is platform and device, which is combining both platform and the impression device. There's also placement and device, which is combining the placement and device metrics. So it's a Facebook desktop feed on a laptop, or it's an Instagram mobile feed on a cell phone. So again, this is hyper granular information, and to be fair, it's almost completely non-actionable. But if you're interested in this level of stuff, my best suggestion is to export the data, bring it into ChatGPT, and ask Chat to give you the insights to answer the questions that you have. Below that, we have media type, which is basically image or video. And this can really help, especially if we have dynamic ads that have both assets, or if we're using some sort of Advantage Plus creative treatment where it might turn an image into a video, stuff like that. And the last one is product ID. And this is vital information, especially if you're running catalog ads. This will actually show you the results by overall SKU in your store, by variant or content ID, and it's incredibly valuable information. A best practice here, by the way, is to take this report and run it against the conversion rate and volume of traffic to each one of the landing pages on your store, and make sure that the products that are getting the most spend are also the ones that convert the best. Or if you see sales really go through the roof or tank, you can understand at the catalog level, are you sending a lot of traffic to a page that is really good or a page that is really bad? And this is really, really helpful information. And honestly, I should probably make a whole video just on this. That's its own hour-and-a-half long. And lastly, we have action. And this can give us information around messaging, like what was the source of the purchase, or the outcome destination, where we can see which messaging app the outcome occurred on. We also have conversion device. So if somebody saw your ad on a laptop but bought on a phone, this can help us understand that. Next, we have carousels. So if you're using carousel ads, this will be a great way for us to understand the click metrics by each individual card in that carousel. Now, something to be mindful of is this will not give you that information if the carousel is made by a dynamic or flex ad. It also won't tell you that information if you're using placement asset customization or using Advantage Plus catalog ads. Those breakdowns are not available here. Now, we also have destination. So maybe we have an ad where we're split testing where the person is going. We can understand where those results are coming from if you're doing A/B split testing with your Facebook ads. We also have a post reaction type. So we can understand if people like something or they are angry at something. And this is really interesting information, especially if we're trying to drive engagements or understand sentiment. We can also break down our data based on actions taken on brands from the catalog. So if we have multiple brands in our catalog, like for instance, if you are a general store, I see this a lot with brands like Macy's or like Home Depot, where they've categorized that information or they're reselling for other folks like Amazon. Next, we have category, which will tell us the product category of an ad shown in the catalog instead of each individual SKU. So if we want to know it's not this pair of pants versus that pair of pants, but whether it was a pair of pants versus a dress versus a belt, this will help us understand that by summing all of the pants, all of the belts, all of the jackets and bags into individual groups based on how you organize your store. Video sound is interesting here, so to let you know if the people seeing your ads have sound on or off. As a complete side note, if they're on a mobile device, assume the sound is off. If they're on a desktop, assume the sound is on. In our action section, we also have a video view type, so this lets us know if the videos were auto-played or click to play, which is really helpful to basically understand the impact of the thumbnail. If they're autoplay, the thumbnail is basically meaningless. However, if it's a click to play, then we know the thumbnail has a lot of value. And lastly, we have instant experience component. So for those of you building out instant experiences, this will let us understand the data by each component within that instant experience. So this is a great way of breaking down all of the information that we see when we're looking at the campaign level, the ad set level, or the ad level, and we've set up our columns to understand what metrics are important to us, what key performance indicators we are looking at, and then we can understand at a more granular level each one of those key performance indicators within the ads, the ad sets, or the campaigns, broken down by these individual different ways of looking at the data. And this is really exciting and powerful information. But I will caution you in that you don't have control over almost all of these things. So looking at the data should really only help you understand decisions you are going to make at a creative level or on your website or in your product offerings. Trying to use this data to control options at the ad set level, like delivery or audience or placement or platform or country, generally those moves don't pan out. And fixing that at the creative level or the offer level or the website is a lot better. The only real exception to that might be geography. And some markets just behave better than others when it comes to e-commerce. And I want to call that out specifically because different countries have different economies, and the price of attention and the LTV of a customer and the cost to acquire them, if they're in Europe or the United States or Asia or Africa or Australia, can all be completely different. And so in that way, it can actually be really important for us to know where our money is working good for us and where it's ultimately doing a lot more harm. So now let's get into how to create reports. And there's two things you really need to understand here. First, the reports section will give you information, but that information lives inside the machine. And this can be really helpful if you want to create standardized reporting templates for multiple team members where everybody has a login to the same business manager. You can see reports on video creative, as well as other templates around all levels of the campaign, different demographics. You can also get reports on delivery and actions. Basically, everything that we saw at the breakdown section, we can standardize that information and granularity, and then make it a report that anybody can view at any time if they have access to the account. The other kind of report that we can do here is when we export the data. Now, there are multiple ways of doing this. We can see this as a CSV. We can see it as an Excel spreadsheet. We can schedule these reports so that they might get sent every day or every week or every month. We can also create a link so that somebody outside of the organization or that doesn't have access to the business manager can see the information at the level and column preset and breakdown with the KPIs that we're looking at. So your best practice guide here is that if you are trying to create a report for people that have access to the business manager to see, for instance, the performance media buyer is trying to get a creative report built for the creative director. That can be seen here in the reports tab, and that person will be able to see it as long as they have access to the business manager and come to this reporting section. The other thing to remember is that if you want to get the information out of the box so that you can do reports in Excel or Google Sheets or numbers or input data into your ChatGPT, etc., then you need to go to export. And from here, you can hit the down arrow to make sure that you get it as a CSV file, an Excel file, or some other version. Now, what I'll see is a lot of people will go into the report section and pull a CSV report whenever they need to do ad hoc analysis. But they'll also schedule a report so that they can go to their desk every Monday morning and have an analysis broken down on the ad level, the ad set or campaign level, with all of the custom columns set and the breakdowns and the KPIs so that they can open up their email and they'll just have it ready waiting for them for whatever information they're trying to extrapolate from that report. Lastly, some of you will have this charts button, not everybody, But this is a great way to just visualize the information on top of the charts button that already exists at the top right. So that is all the reporting that we have available inside the machine and how to get the data out of the machine so that we can do more insightful and powerful reporting with other tools that are not necessarily completely native to the Meta Ads dashboard. Now, I know you love this video, and if you're ready to become truly elite at Facebook marketing and business growth, check this out. Bam! There's the QR code for the Facebook Ads MBA program. This is what I would do if I took over your business, and I will work with you directly to never need anybody else ever again. I've had hundreds of people go through this, and no one who's ever done the work has ever asked for their money back. This is the single greatest investment you can make in growing your skills and your business. All right, that being said, let's get back to the video. A 4PI analysis will allow you to know if an ad is doing its job well, whether an ad is prospecting or retargeting, and where it fits in top of funnel, mid funnel, and bottom funnel. And we'll get to more of this in just a bit. Also, in a little bit, I'm going to share with you a 4PI funnel cheat sheet. And it's really important to remember that the only frequency that matters is when we do a breakdown by day. And in a little bit, I'll also remind you on how to do that as well. So let's dive into what each metric tells us. Let's start with spend. We have to remember that in Meta ads, spend is earned. And ads that spend more money tend to have a higher estimated action rate and better meets Meta's business needs. Remember, Meta's business model is the retention of attention for profit. The reason that your ad is getting shown to somebody is because that person wants to see your content, or at least that's the goal. A small caveat here is that in an advantage shopping campaign, somebody is seeing your content because they are in market for the product that you are buying, not because your content specifically is the kind that they're looking to see on the platform. An important note here is that estimated action rate is how Meta measures how likely somebody is to engage with your content. And every impression of content on every platform to every person is likely to be engaged with differently at different times. So there's no one specific hard measurement of an estimated action rate per ad, but we can understand that good ads get more spend. And what we'll talk about later will also help us understand the quality of the experience and the audience that that ad is reaching. So let's get into frequency. This is the amount of times an ad is seen by the average person in a day. And this is an indicator of where that ad sits in the customer experience funnel. An easy way to think about this is that a frequency of 1.1 means that 10% of people see an ad twice. However, a frequency of 1.5 means 50% of people see an ad twice. And frequency of 2 means on average 100% of people see an ad twice. It's also important to note that for the validity of this insight, we're really only caring about the frequency per day. Because once you start breaking into frequency by week and by month, the amount of money that you spend and how that ad itself changes where it is in the funnel can dramatically impact the accuracy and the insight and actionable nature of the data. So all we really care about is the by day breakdown of this number. Next on the list is CPM. This is a reflection of the quality of the user experience as well as an indication of the quality of the audience. If people don't like your ad, you're going to have to pay more money per person to show that ad to people because ultimately your ad is a liability to Meta's business model. You are bad business for your business partner. Good experiences are cheaper. Bad experiences are more expensive. You can think of this as a tax that you have to pay for being a bad business partner or a discount that you get for being a good one. The other part of CPM is that it can be an indication of the quality of an audience. Generally speaking, lower quality audiences are cheaper to reach, and higher quality audiences or premium inventory is more expensive. Last on the list is efficiency. This is a measurement of how effective this effort,
the ad or the ad set or the campaign is at being the last touch before a conversion. And remember, just because an ad isn't the last touch doesn't mean it doesn't have value. Sometimes an ad might be very inefficient, relatively speaking, but it's really, really good at attracting the right attention as the first touch. That might be a top of funnel ad. Also, some ads are really effective at being the last touch, but they only appeal to folks that are already aware and ready to buy. Those ads tend to sit lower in the funnel. So now that we understand what the ideal reporting dashboard is, and we know what each metric tells us, let's dive in deeper on how to read the report. So let's start with what we are looking for. We want to be able to identify if ads are doing their job well or poorly. Ideally, we will have a well-balanced team where every ad is doing its job. If the ads are balanced, then we can easily scale with consistency and confidence in a sustainable fashion. As a quick guide, we can remember that prospecting ads tend to earn more spend and have a lower CPM and lower frequency and are less efficient. Whereas retargeting ads earn less spend and have a higher CPM and higher frequency and are more efficient. Let's give a quick example of both of these kinds of ads. A UGC ad with a great hook might earn a lot of spend because it's really appealing to a very wide audience that by nature, because it's super wide, is a little bit lower in quality. And because we're very appealing to a large group of people, the machine will show this ad less often to more people. And because we're showing this ad less often to more people that are lower quality, ultimately we can understand that this ad is probably less effective at being the last touch before a conversion. That's a prospecting ad. If we look only at the cost per result, we might see these ads as being bad, but we have to understand they have a role to play on the team. And these ads are great at bringing in new people to the funnel, and that's their job. So now let's look at a features and benefits us versus them static ad. This ad probably only appeals to folks that know what they're looking at and are in market to buy and are probably shopping around. So inherently, this audience is much higher quality and much smaller. Because of that, the machine is also going to show somebody this ad more often to try to get them across the finish line of making that conversion, which also means that this ad is more likely to be the last touch before a conversion occurs. So these ads are far more efficient. And again, if we're only looking at the cost per result, we might see an amazing ad with tremendous performance that never gets spent. However, if we begin to look at the CPM and the frequency, we might identify that, oh, this ad that's incredible has a super high CPM and a very high frequency. The reason it's effective is because it's a very low funnel retargeting ad, and it's doing its job very well. However, ads like this will not scale unless there's more people in the funnel. That's where a prospecting ad and a retargeting ad work hand in hand. Historically, these types of ads were put into different campaigns and optimized separately. However, in the back half of the 2010s, the Facebook ad platform became an optimized CPM environment, which allowed us to let the machine decide which ad to show to what person at what time. This is when we moved from custom audiences and very complicated funnels to broad targeting. And we lean on things like advanced matching to do all of the hard work for us. This is what made Facebook ads and now Meta ads the single most powerful machine learning algorithm on the planet, especially to condition human behavior. And that is why we're using it to make a lot of money. So how do we do an analysis? What we are looking for are results that are consistent. And then we can identify which ads are doing their job and which ones aren't. The purpose of creative testing is to improve those that are struggling the most. Remember, ideally, we will have a well-balanced team where every ad is doing its job. So if we have a team where one of the ads is not doing its job, for instance, maybe you have a prospecting ad with a low CPM but a super high frequency and it's really inefficient. So we know that ad is really appealing, the low CPM, but only to a small group of people, which is why the frequency is really high. And because it's only appealing to a small group of people, it's unlikely to be the thing that gets somebody across the finish line, so therefore that ad is probably less efficient. We might also see a retargeting ad with a high CPM and high frequency, but the results aren't efficient enough. And this is an ad that ultimately appeals to a very small group of people that are super high value. However, it's not good enough at making the sale. So while this fits in our funnel as the retargeting ad, it's not efficient enough to justify the lower efficiency that we see in the prospecting ad, and ultimately that's what we should be focusing on improving. The purpose of a 4PI analysis is to allow us to, at a glance, have a very clear understanding of how the machine is using our content and understanding where we have an opportunity to improve. From there, we can focus our creative testing on just improving the ad that is doing the job the most poorly. If we think of it as a chain is only as strong as our weakest link, and the 4PI analysis lets us know which link is the weakest, and our creative testing is specifically designed to make that weakest link stronger, then we will consistently improve our overall team and the balance, which means our ability to scale with consistency and confidence in a sustainable way only gets greater over time. And that's why this is the most powerful report you can run in the Meta Ads platform. And again, it's super easy to set up with your custom columns. So I promised before a quick 4PI daily frequency funnel cheat sheet. And again, this is a cheat sheet. It's not perfect. Every situation is a little bit different. But if your daily frequency is between a 1 and a 1.15, we can really think of this as a top of funnel ad. If our frequency is a 1.15 to a 1.25, this is probably an indication that it's more middle of funnel. If 20% of people are seeing our ad twice, it's a little bit prospecting and a little bit retargeting. And above a 1.25, that ad is probably bottom of funnel. If 25, 35, 50, or 70% of people are seeing our ad more than once in a day, that ad is retargeting people. So we need that ad to be more efficient. And we can fully expect that ad to maybe not get as much spend, but we know why it's not getting that much spend. And as a side note, if you've ever tried to isolate your best performing ads and just scale those, the reason that doesn't work is because you're trying to take a bottom of funnel ad and go prospecting with it. And that's just not what that ad is good at doing. So failure is more or less guaranteed. Now, I also said I was going to show you how to get the breakdown by day. And this is super simple. Go to your Ads Manager tab inside of your Business Manager. Click on the breakdown button between the columns and report section. Search for day and click the checkbox. If it's not in your recently used and not in the popular, you can also go down to time and it'll be the first one there. That is the data that we are looking for to maximize the actionable insight of a 4PI analysis. So now let's get into doing a live 4PI analysis with some real world ad accounts. We're gonna do 3 of these, and this is gonna be super fun because they're all gonna be very different, so that you get to see how to think about all of the data, and you can understand how to weaponize this to improve your business and ultimately have more stable results so that you can scale with confidence and understand the single most important thing that you should be doing to move your business forward. All right, let's get into it. So we pulled up our ad account here, and by default, it's on performance and clicks, maximum time, all sorts of stuff, right? And this is spent, if you look down here, $40,000. All right, sizable amount of information. There's over 24 ads that have been live since it started. So let's clean up our dashboard. The first thing we're gonna do is go to columns and go to customize columns, and we're gonna build a 4PI analysis dashboard. My favorite thing is I just clear out all of these. So let's get started with amount spent. Then we're gonna go to frequency. Then we're gonna go to CPM. And then we're gonna go to cost per purchase, which is this brand's version of efficiency. Not every brand is looking at purchase. Some might look at leads, some might look at subscriptions, some might look at app downloads. Whatever it is that you're looking for, my recommendation is don't put cost per result. Clearly define whatever that result is, because sometimes attribution is weird, sometimes settings are weird. What we are looking for very specifically here for this brand is the cost per purchase. That is the efficiency that matters. Now that we have this, we can save this as a column preset of 4PI preset. Awesome. We'll hit apply. Fantastic. All right, now that we have that, by the way, I want to show you just how you can come back and find that at any time. You can come to discover more column presets, your custom preset, and there it is, 4PI preset. Now you never need to worry about setting this up ever again. Great. Now we've got our columns here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because now we don't need to look at nearly as much information, so we can kind of clean this up so it's easy to read. Oh, that cost per purchase is way over there. All right, here we go. Fantastic. All right, so now that we have this nice and clean, first off, isn't this much simpler to look at? What we're gonna do is go up, instead of maximum, we're gonna go to last 7 days. And in the search and filter section, one of my favorite things to do here is go to had delivery. This way, we're only looking at ads that had delivery during that time. And we can see we had 14 ads in this ad set of this campaign that had delivery during this time, which is, to be fair, kind of a lot. Now, we've already made some decisions to turn some ads off, so let's simplify this even more and go ahead and make sure that ad delivery is active on the ads that we're looking at. Now, if we want to clean this up a little bit more, you see some ads are on, some ads are off, and we have 14, which is probably too many pieces of information. We can go up here where this ad delivery is, and let's just go ahead and uncheck everything that's not active. That way, we're only looking at ads that are currently live. So we're only looking at information where we still have a decision to make. And that'll just help reduce the number of line items that we're looking at. Now, the last thing we're gonna do here before we dive in is we're gonna go up to this little section, which is breakdown, and we're gonna go to day. Now, quick note, your ad account might show the word breakdown here. It might show columns. Also, sometimes the breakdown section is on the other side of the export. So I'm going to try to show you a couple ad accounts that might look a little bit different, because I want you to know that when you see my ad accounts, they might be a little bit different than yours. So let's walk you through how to navigate each one of those. So anyway, in the breakdown section, we're going to go to day. You can see that I use day, week, and platform here a lot. Popular ones are day, age, placement, country, platform. But we're going to go the long way here just so that you can see it. We're going to go to time and then day. Great. Now we have a really good idea of what's going on, and most recent information is at the top. So all of this is basically, what have you done for me lately? And then we go back in time, and then we just go add to add to add. Makes it really, really easy. All right. So now let's begin to take a look at the results that we have. So when we look at this, we can see this ad spent 2,000 of 7,300. That is a lot. This is the lion's share of the spend that's going on. So this is probably the most popular ad. It probably has the best estimated action rate. This is the ad that is doing the most work in this ad set. Okay, so that being said, where does it fit in the funnel? So when we begin to take a look at the frequency, we can see 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, 1.4, 1.2. This thing is hovering right around what we would consider to be sort of bottom funnel. Now, of course, every business is unique and every situation requires some context. But we can understand that on any given day, at least 20% of people are being retargeted with this ad. Now, when we look at the CPMs, this CPM is 30, and the average for the ads we're looking at is 21. So this ad, interesting. The frequency is probably lower in the funnel, and the CPM shows us that, oh, this is also lower in the funnel, based on the fact that the CPM is higher than the average. That tracks. Now, all that to be said, we look at the cost per purchase, 231, and the average is 199. So this is a really popular ad that appeals to a smaller group of higher qualified individuals that's more expensive to reach, but the efficiency, the cost per purchase, is not as good as everything else combined.
Now, this is a bit of a red flag. We would like to see this efficiency being better than what we have on average. Now, there is a note here that I want to call out. If you notice, there are some days without purchases. And in brands or ad accounts where you're not necessarily getting a conversion for every ad on every day, we have to understand that maybe the reason this thing is so high is because there's no extra purchases here, and there might be other ads stealing from it. So there's a little bit of context there. But in general, this ad is phenomenal at getting spend. And we know that it's more or less a mid or bottom funnel ad based on the frequency and the CPM, and the efficiency isn't strong. So if I'm doing a 4PI analysis on this, I'm taking a note. My mid or bottom funnel ad isn't as strong as it could be. Other bit of context, if 231 is good, maybe my target's 300, in which case I don't have a problem. Yes, this ad isn't necessarily doing its job as well as it could be, but it's far exceeding what I need it to do. And that is often something that most people don't look at. Do you actually have a problem? And full disclosure, I happen to know this business, and anything below a 275 is good. So even though this thing isn't necessarily doing its job as well as it could, it is already far exceeding what we need it to do. So we don't have a problem, which is very important information. All right, let's go down to the next ad. So this one, we can see this one was getting $100 and the budget's kind of going down and kind of coming back up. And as that's happening, we're also noticing a change in the frequency, right? So first off, this spend really unstable. $100 down to 17, back up to 74. Remember, for a 4PI analysis to really be actionable, we are looking for consistency in the data. And why that really matters is, look at this, at 103, we're at 116. At 17, we're at 112. At 74, we're at 124. This is all over the place. And the CPM is all over the place. Now, what this means is Meta is trying this ad at the top of the funnel. And to be fair, with 103, it got a sale. At 37, it got a sale. Like, this was working, but it wasn't earning any spend, which tells us that ultimately the estimated action rate on this ad probably isn't that good, or there's another ad that's fitting in the same part of the funnel, or that's the same kind of format or structure or concept that is doing the job better. And by that I mean it's better meeting Meta's business objective of giving the end user a positive experience. And that is really important. But if we look at this ad, this is higher up in the funnel than the previous ad, right? The previous one was in the 2s, 1.2, 1.4, 1.2, 1.3. This ad is in the teens. And look at this, the CPM below average. We have an 18, the average is 21. So this ad frequency is lower, it's more upper funnel, and the CPM is lower. That also makes sense. Now you would say, but the efficiency is better. It's a 206 and the other one was a 231. Yes, but we have inconsistency. The spend is all over the place. The results aren't happening every day. What we can say is this ad is not one that we can really look at yet. The machine hasn't figured out how to use it, so we can't figure out what it means for us yet. So let's move on. Now, if we look at this third ad, this one started at a really small budget and is kind of going all over the place. Again, really inconsistent. We look at the frequency. It's all over the place. Again, really inconsistent. The CPMs are all over the place. Again, really inconsistent. And the results, really inconsistent. So this is an ad where the machine just has not figured out how to use it. And that means we can basically move on. We get to the next one. This ad, like the other ones, has really inconsistent information, although we can see a trend where it's basically earning more budget. So now let's put that added spend into context. We do see the frequency rising, which means this ad is probably good at retargeting. The machine thinks that this is probably a retargeting ad. And interestingly enough, the CPMs are coming down as it's finding the right place in the funnel. So this will happen a lot. Now, if this ends up earning $200, $300, $400, $500 a day, and the frequency stays around here, I would expect the CPMs kind of stay around here, and this efficiency might come in more like we saw on this day. And to be fair, this ad might earn more budget and really come in around this bottom of funnel where the frequency is higher, the CPM is higher, and if the efficiency is better, this is great. This might be a really strong retargeting ad. This might be what we could more or less expect, in which case this ad is great. It's doing its job, it's a clearly defined role, and it's
it's earning the budget that we would expect at that part of the funnel. So next we have another ad, really small budget, although it is consistently earning a small budget. So that's interesting. The frequency is also really consistent. And the CPM, while rising over time, is still consistently below average. And the efficiency is good. This is an ad that ultimately is stable. What we can tell is that a certain group of people really like this ad. However, it's probably not a very large one. The ad itself is effective, but not very engaging. This is telling us that this concept is one that has merit, but the execution of this ad might not be good enough. I would love to see this continue to spend, and to be fair, going from 12 to 50 is a pretty decent increase when you look at percentage-wise. It 4x'd or 2x'd over time. So that's pretty good. But ultimately, there's other ads that sit in this part of the funnel that are just doing this job better. But again, this is decent information. The fact that we're getting some consistency here tells us there's value in this ad, but we could do it better. And hey, look, we're getting some cheap sales out of the deal, so let's keep that going, because right now, again, while it is not spending a lot, it is contributing and bringing down our overall cost per purchase. So is this a problem? No. Is this something we could lean on to improve? Probably. If I'm a brand, I could take this concept and give this feedback to the person making my ads and say, can you make me something like this that just has a broader appeal? The CPMs are already telling me that the concept works. There's an audience that enjoys seeing this ad, but I need to get that to spend more money. So I could go back to the person making my ads and say, this ad is working in that it's earning a fair amount of spend. People seem to really like it. But what we need is an ad of this concept that has a better estimated action rate. We need one that would encourage people to take more action. That way the amount spent will go up because the estimated action rate would improve. And if this thing can earn 2 or 3 times as much money, odds are our cost per purchase might get worse. But if it's below our target, that's great. Now we've got more actionable insight. Now, when we look at this next ad, the spend is all over the place. The frequency is all over the place. The CPM, kind of erratic, although the cost per purchase is low. Again, this is an ad that we just don't have enough data to really make a judgment call. But if you're noticing a trend of a lot of these ads all kind of sitting in this spot in the frequency, this ad and the one above it are both good, but not great. And what I'd love to do is find a way to execute on one of these concepts better so that we can get a version of one of these 2 ads that earns a lot of spend and ultimately delivers us a better cost per purchase. And to be fair, I like the ad that we looked at before this one more than this because the frequency is showing me that that ad really was consistent. More consistency means more valuable. All right, now let's get to another ad that actually spent some decent amount of money. This one spent $1,100. Now, if we look at the spend, it's kind of all over the place, and so is the frequency, but the CPM is very consistent. So we can see that this ad only appeals to a select audience, which is fine. The CPM is telling us that it's not a great user experience, or it's only a good user experience to a high quality audience. That's fine if it's a retargeting ad, which when we look at the frequency shows us that it is. And we look at the amount spent, hey look, the results are phenomenal, but the spend is small. That means, again, that's probably a retargeting ad. And if we put this into context with some of the other ads, this ad is doing the job of being a mid or bottom funnel effort much better than the other ones are. And the efficiency is phenomenal. We're in the 80s, below 100. I'll take that all day. So now this is telling me maybe some of the other problems we were trying to solve aren't more important than just letting this thing spend more by getting things out of the way. When this ad would have more opportunity to hit people in the middle and the bottom of the funnel, and we're doing a phenomenally better job at driving a higher volume of spend to an ad that can earn it and deliver efficient results. Now we're really solving problems. Now, if we look at this next ad, it spent $1,300. The spend is pretty high, although one day spent only $2. I don't know what happened there, although we got a sale for it, so phenomenal. The frequency here is really high, and the CPM is lower. So if we look just across the board here,
This ad, like the one above it, frequency-wise, is clearly a mid to bottom funnel targeting audience. However, this ad, unlike the one above it, has a much lower CPM. Now, the only concern I have is, unlike the ad above it, this one isn't driving results. So this ad, when we look at it, is a very appealing ad to somebody who's lower in the funnel, but ultimately not one that also drives sales. So, in the interest of simplifying our ad account, because we have 11 ads we should probably cut back, this one and the ad before it are more or less competing for the same kind of business objective. And the one that we looked at before it does it phenomenally better. An easy way to make more money is just get rid of the things that don't do as good at their job. This is what the 4PI analysis is telling us. I get rid of this ad right away. All right, we got a couple more ads to go through here. This one has not spent a lot. The spend is all over the place. The frequency is rising. The CPMs are all over the place, and we don't have a lot of results. This is really inconsistent, and honestly, I think we can probably get rid of it because we got bigger fish to fry that are already proven. And honestly, I think we could probably get rid of it because we have other assets that are already proven to earn spend and deliver consistent results that are good. When we look at the next ad, we can more or less say the same thing. The spend is pretty erratic, although it's all basically below $50 a day. The frequency is fairly consistent, that's fine, although the CPMs are all over the place. And there's no results. So again, this ad, inconsistent data, the machine hasn't figured out how to use it or who to show it to, and it's not driving any actions. So it's a completely wasted ad spend. And with that being said, it's been live for 7 days. It hasn't done anything. Let's cut it. Now we have one more ad here in this ad set. This ad is earning more budget over time. We can see the spend level going up. As the spend level goes up, so does the frequency and so does the CPM. So this ad, I think, is earning more budget, which is a really good sign. And while it's not really doing a lot now, it still is proving that it is winning the merit game. So this is an ad where I'd probably keep it on and keep my eye on it. But we know the machine likes to show this ad and is growing its affinity for this ad versus other ones. So that is an easy move for us to say, we're gonna keep it on and keep our eye on it. We don't know what to think of it yet, but we've already identified probably half of these ads that we could either work on improving or just get rid of right now, because again, it's all about understanding what problem do we actually have. So when we go back and now look at this without the breakdown by day, we have a lot of context. Out of the 11 ads that we looked at, we can identify that some are doing their job well and some aren't. Some are getting better and some are completely erratic. There are a few that have potential but might need to go back to testing. And really, what that means is we can probably get from 11 ads to 5 or 6. And because we do that elimination of the complexity, the ads that are good for us are going to earn more budget. And that means the results are going to be more consistent and more efficient over time. And really, we can begin to truly scale this thing. All right, so we have another ad account here, and this one has spent considerably more than the last one, where we have, in this ad set alone, $320,000 spent. So let's repeat the process. First thing we're gonna do is go to columns, and we're gonna drop down, and we are going to customize columns. And here what we're gonna do is just clear the deck, get rid of all of these things. And let's do it again. We're gonna go spent, so we see amount spent. Then we're gonna type in frequency, so we got that. We're gonna type in CPM, awesome. Now this brand, because it's e-commerce, we're gonna wanna track the cost per purchase for our efficiency. So we can see purchases and go to cost. Now, one other thing that we need for this business, because the average order value can be so different. Part of the 4PI analysis for us here, just to give a bit more context, is to include average order value. Now, I showed you how to do that when making custom metrics, so let's throw it in here and go ahead and save this as preset 4PI plus AOV. Fantastic. If you noticed, I had another preset in there that was 4PI plus new. That was so we could track new customers. But that's a whole other video for a whole other day, and I highly recommend that you track new customers. But yeah, I have a video, I'll link it here on the screen right now. There's the card, and you can go check out how to add in new customers in your ad account. Easy peasy. All right, that being said, let's get to it. This is 4PI plus AOV. We're gonna go ahead and hit apply. Now we have our custom preset. For some context,
Now, it's really important here. If you see the average order value is 123, but some ads are 133, some ads are an 88, that matters. Okay, so next move, like we did before, we're gonna go maximum, we're gonna go last 7 days. And in this ad account, we have columns and breakdowns and reports, and you see this little download button and then charts. Not every ad account looks the same. So in this one, the breakdowns actually has it written out. So we're gonna go click here. And if you look here, day, week, platform, right? My stuff kind of looks very similar when I manage accounts, but we're gonna go back down to time and day. Cool. Now what we're gonna do is go over here. We're gonna double click on the ad so that we have the most recent information at the top, going back in time. And the last thing we're gonna do is in the search and filter section, we're gonna go to ad delivery. So we only look at the ads that spent during this time. And because we only want to look at the ads that are still currently active, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of these other options, hit apply. Fantastic. Well, we went from 11 ads down to 7. Cool. So that means we have 7 ads currently live that we're going to take a look at. All right. So this first ad that we have, the spend is very low and very inconsistent. We're looking at $96,000 spent here. This is $65. This is telling us this ad isn't really earning any spend. The frequency's all over the place. The CPM's kind of all over the place. Honestly, this ad is more or less a distraction. Maybe it'll have value in the future, but at the end of the day, it's $65 out of 96,000, so it's completely irrelevant. Same thing to be said for this ad, $35. Spend is all over the place, although it seems like it might be going up. There's no way to really get any real information here, other than, hey, it got a sale for $16 in a way that is probably not predictive of the future. And the AOV of that sale at $1.29 is a little bit above average, so again, no real valuable information can be extrapolated from this at all. Then we move down to an ad that spent some decent amount of money. This is $8.8 thousand out of 96. Okay, now we're dealing with something of value, right? This is about 9% of the ad spend. That's important. Now, when we look at the spend, it's pretty consistent in that it's earning at least $1,000 a day, almost every day, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less, but really consistent volume of spend in that it is earning budget every day. Great. Frequency. 1.08, 1.1, 1.14. This is roughly 1.1 every day. Okay, this is probably more prospecting than it is retargeting. So that makes sense. So when we look at the CPMs, it looks like it's kind of coming down over time, which I fully expect because as this ad gets more transactions and more data, it's also getting more information into the machine to know who to show the ad to. So the machine is getting smarter. You can see this ad in real time. The machine learning is improving. While the frequency is kind of going up a little bit, the CPM is coming down. And the spend is like, this is great. Now we look at the cost per purchase, really consistent. It's coming in at an 80 average. And yeah, it's a 78, it's an 80, it's a $1.20, it's a 58. But look, we're right around more or less the number. This is really consistent. So we can understand by looking at this ad that it's a little bit lower in the funnel. So this is probably a lower upper funnel ad, an upper mid funnel ad. And the CPM because of that is a little bit higher than average, right? We have a 26 average. This is at a 27. Cool. And the efficiency on this one is basically an 80 and the average is 95. That means that this is a really, really good upper mid funnel ad. Its frequency is slightly lower in the funnel. The CPM is slightly above average and the efficiency is well above average, meaning the cost per purchase is less than average. Now, the only thing to call out is that the AOV at a 113 is a little bit less than the average at a 126. So this cost per purchase needs to be put into that context. Basically, the AOV is about 10% less than average. So if we were to add 10% to this cost per purchase, then the margin between the cost of purchase and the AOV would be comparable to the account average, in which case this would be a high 80s CPA and the AOV would be around here. Still better than average. This is a strong ad. It is doing its job well. And the reason that it's not earning more budget is because it's not a prospecting ad. That makes sense. Okay, let's go to the ad below it, which is a prospecting ad. This one over the last 7 days has spent $26,000. And this budget is a bit inconsistent, but climbing. Like, look, this thing is getting 1,300 to 7,000. But what I love to see here is the frequency is a 1.0, 1.01, 1.02, 1.05. Like this frequency this is a top of funnel ad.
And what happens when we have a top of funnel ad? We expect the CPM to be below cost, right? 1953, 26. This is a prospecting ad. Now, when we have a low frequency and a low CPM, we expect a low efficiency. So the cost per purchase at a 102 is lower in the efficiency than the 94, meaning the cost per purchase is higher, right? So we expect this ad that earns a lot of budget, that sits higher in the funnel, to not be as good at getting the sale, because we expect this ad that is sitting at the top of the funnel, right? It's earning the spend, the frequency is low, the CPM is low. This is likely not to be the last touch in a customer journey before an action happens, but it is absolutely part of the overall funnel. And so this is a prospecting ad that is doing its job exceptionally well. This is an extreme top of funnel ad. And to be fair, I love it. The AOV, 124, basically the account average. So this is doing its job. This is a really, really strong prospecting ad. Now let's get down to the one below it. This basically over the last 7 days has spent 50 grand. It's averaging over $7,000 a day. That's incredible. When we look at the frequency, this is a higher frequency than the ad right before it, but a lower frequency than the ad before that. So this is in that lower upper funnel, but not quite mid funnel, like gray area. Now it's interesting when we look at this, that the CPM is kind of all over the place. So the machine is still trying to figure out exactly who to show this ad to. And on any given day, it feels like it's finding different pockets of people, which is fine. Because this thing is spending 50 grand over a course of a week. We would expect that audience quality to change a little bit, right? One day it spends $3,500, another day it spends $12,000. Okay, I get it. One day where it spent $3,500, the CPM was 50. When it spent 12,000, the CPM was 25. On a day where people like it, it's just finding more people to show to. And then when we go to the cost per purchase, this is basically right on the account average, which also makes sense because it's about 50% of the ad spend. Like that's pegged. That is account average. So if we know that a not quite upper funnel, not quite mid funnel ad that is earning 50% of every dollar spent is coming in with a CPM a little bit above average, okay, but the cost per purchase is also right on average. Now we know this is a team player and we know what this ad is doing. And as this account continues to scale, this is something we can rely on with consistency to deliver really good results. Now, yeah, some of the cost of purchase here is in the 110s. Sometimes it's a little bit less. It looks like it's getting better and better. And like we've seen before, one of the reasons that it's getting better and better is because with this volume of spend, this ad is getting more and more data. It's getting better and better and better at finding higher quality people to reach. And so it's getting more people across the finish line, which is great when you have a prospecting ad getting more and more efficient. That is a sign of success in the account. And the AOV is also above average, which is phenomenal. Not only is the cost per purchase on average, but the average order value is a little bit above our average. So these are higher quality customers. This is what you want to see, and is why this ad is spending $50,000 and why this brand is sitting in a spot where one ad set alone can spend nearly 100 grand in a week. And what I really want to point out here again is that when ads get more budget, they get smarter. The machine learning is working. You can see it in real time on this account. Now, sometimes it might take weeks or months to see it. This ad is doing it in days because of the volume of spend and the volume of transactions and data. But this is the machine learning working in real time. You can see it. 111 at 34. When it gets to 12, it's coming in at a 90. Now we get to the next ad that spent about 7,000, so it's averaging roughly $1,000 a day, and the spend is really showing us that. The frequency is kind of sitting in the same place as the ad right before it. The CPM is a lot less, so this is an ad that is more appealing to a broader audience than the ad before, although maybe it's not earning as much budget. Although, some context, maybe the reason that this ad has a really good CPM is because the ad spend is low, because the ad before it that's spending 7 times more is reaching everybody. This one only has to spend $1,000 a day against the people who really want to see it. And hey, look, if it's going to do that and deliver a below average cost, 81 versus a 94, I'll take it all day. And again, the AOV here is below average, 117 to a 126. So it's not quite 10% less on the AOV, but if we were to add 10% to the cost per purchase and make this a 90 instead of an 89, it's still right on track with what we would expect. And it's doing better than average.
at a top of funnel ad. But again, based on frequency, we can see that this is still a prospecting ad, but it's a slightly lower in the funnel prospecting ad than that other one that was getting 1.0s, right? This is an ad that has a clearly defined role that is complementary to the ad that we just saw right above it, and is kind of picking up the low-hanging fruit that that other ad is leaving behind, which is allowing it to reach a large group of people for a lower price on the inventory. The CPM is less than the average, and it's reaching the really good people. This is a team working together. You can think of this as the supporting actor or as the assistant. This is the thing that makes the great thing better. That is phenomenal. This is also the thing that means the great thing doesn't have to be as good, because at an $81, the other one can be closer to 100 and will still net out in the mid-9s. That's great. Now we look at the ad below that, $4,200, so this one hasn't spent as much. The spend is kind of inconsistent. The frequency, though, is pegged. The CPM is pegged. The machine knows exactly how to use this ad, and the cost per purchase is a little bit worse than average. So look, as long as this cost per purchase isn't better than the other things, I'm glad that it's not spending more money, because it doesn't have to. That is the machine doing its job. This is a very well-built team, where every ad has a role, and every role is clearly defined. And ultimately, you'd say, well, why is this ad running? And look at the AOV. It's a 135. It's above average. This ad, while it costs more to make a sale, and while it's not spending as much, this one is grabbing the attention of the people willing to spend more, which I'm okay with, because all of these ads are driving to the exact same landing page. This ad just does a better job than other ones at getting people who want to take the upsell. I'll take that 7 times out of 7. Now, for a little bit of context here, I want to show something that we didn't show in the other ad, just because this has so much volume. Look at the scale that this ad is seeing on a daily basis. It went from 11.8 up to 16s. It went from just shy of 12 to around 16,000 in a week. And as it did that, the CPMs more or less kind of stayed the same. And the cost per purchase got better, because the machine is getting smarter. This is an ad set within a larger CBO, and that CBO is also scaling. But I want you to see here how the machine is learning how to do its job. And as it gets more data, the results are consistent and improving. This is what you want to see. This ad set has had effective 4PI analysis done to it. And ultimately, the 4PI analysis here is that every ad is doing its job. Let's just spend more money. Sometimes the analysis says you're doing good, just spend more. That's what this ad set is doing. It's doing its job, and look what happens. It just earns more budget and gets better. This is a job well done. Okay, so let's take a look at one more ad account. This one is an ad set that has been live for about 2 weeks. This is also an Advantage shopping campaign. So I wanted to take a look at a 4PI analysis and something that's not lowest cost. All those other ones were set up lowest cost, broad targeting, no cost caps or nothing. The other two were set up as lowest cost or maximize volume of conversions and broad targeting. This one is an Advantage shopping campaign, and I want to show you how these function a little bit differently. I've already set up our columns here: amount spent, frequency, CPM, and cost per purchase. Let's go to last 7 days. Let's go to breakdown and hit day, time, and day. There we go. So also, because this is an Advantage shopping campaign, we know that ads are going to fatigue a lot faster. We're not going to do the same filtering that we did before about only ads that are live or not live, because I want you to see just the life cycle. And we're going to point out the advantages of Advantage shopping and also the liabilities of Advantage shopping here. Okay, so let's get to it. This one's going to be quick. This first ad, spend is all over the place. Frequency is super high, although because it's Advantage shopping, this is basically a prospecting ad. And the CPMs are considerably high as well. No results. This ad, not good. Next one, 306 out of 850. This ad is basically doing the lion's share of the work.
The spend is more or less going up every day. That's a great sign. The frequency is super high. This is a mid or bottom funnel ad in an advantage shopping campaign. You will see the CPMs and the frequencies here be higher than average. And the cost per purchase, hey look, we're getting sales. This is good. It's better than the account average. And to be fair, part of the reason the average is bad is because we have ads with no sales. But this thing, as it spends more, it sells more. That's a good sign. Cool. This ad is basically doing its job. Next ad. Down here, spend is more or less consistent. The frequency is getting less over time, and the CPM is a little bit better than average. So in an advantage shopping campaign, this is moving its way up the funnel, but also away from getting sales. So this is probably helping that other ad be successful. When it had a higher frequency and higher CPM, it got some sales. And to be fair, it did so more effectively than other ads did, but we're not really in control of what's going on. And in an advantage shopping campaign, it is what have you done for me lately? And if you're not doing a good job, you're going to get shifted out. And that's what we're seeing happen in real time. This ad is the spend is going up. Frequency is basically pegged. CPM is kind of all over the place. No results. It's not really helping. This ad spend is all over the place. Frequency is super high when it does earn spend. CPMs are super high when it does earn spend. So this ad doesn't appeal to too many people. It's shown to people pretty frequently and nobody wants to buy. Okay, so let's get to another one. This ad was live for 3 days. Spend was consistent, the frequency was consistent, and the CPMs were pretty good. I'm not sure why this ad was turned off. We might have to go to the lifetime of this to get more context, but ultimately we can see in an ASC campaign that your frequencies are gonna be a lot higher. Your CPMs are gonna be higher. And we have a lot of ads going here, so the results are fairly inconsistent. So at the end of the day, we really only have 2 ads that are doing any considerable work. And they are working together in a complementary fashion. So all of the other ads are more or less liabilities. Now, because this is an advantage shopping campaign, we're not gonna see nearly the same volume of data because the frequency is higher and the CPM is higher. So we're reaching a fewer amount of people more often. There's a place for advantage shopping campaigns, but a 4PI analysis is really just going to tell you whether the ads that spend money are good. And in this case, we can see that the ads that have spent money are working together and the other ones are basically just getting in the way. So in this case, I think we can probably just get rid of everything except for the 2 that drove sales and hope for the best. Now, when this all started, I promised you a massive, massive, massive giveaway. And I'm gonna deliver on that promise as I always try to do. So if you go to disruptorschool.com/Facebook giveaway part 2, you're gonna get this presentation and the presentation from our Meta Ads course from setup to scaling success, as well as a digital marketing strategy calendar by month so that you can understand what you should be doing each month. Is this a month to focus on volume of sales or really push on AOV? Is this a month where we really need to be leaning into email or going all out on Facebook? This is gonna be super helpful. And the fun thing is, this calendar basically hasn't changed in nearly 20 years because consumer behavior hasn't either. And also, you will get a free 30-minute one-on-one call with me if you sign up for 3 months of the Disruptor School Inner Circle. And not only that, but you also will get a discount on the Inner Circle. So go ahead and take advantage of that. The Inner Circle is amazing. We get to have chats on a regular basis where I hop on the screen and you get to share your screen and your ad account and get answers to your questions in real time. And you also get to be a part of classes and workshops with other people. So not only do you get to ask your questions, but you get to see the questions that everybody else is asking. You'll also have unlimited access to all of the masterclasses and ebooks within Disruptor School and an archive of every question ever asked by anybody else going back years. This is incredibly powerful, and I can't tell you how many people have joined the Inner Circle, seen dramatic changes to their business. And I'll end with this. The average person who joins the Inner Circle stays for at least 1.5 years. And the honest truth is, the only reason it's not 2 is because more new people join all the time, and it's bringing down that average. It's an incredible community, and I'd love to see you there. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to know what is the next step, that is your best bet.
Okay, when I started shooting this, I was in LA. In full disclosure, we're now in our apartment in New York City, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. With that being said, if you want more information and want to dive even deeper into all of the things we talk about here, I've made this great playlist just for you. It's right over there. There you go, look, Charlie, right there. Awesome. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet.